This morning, you can find some Democrats smiling, maybe for the first time in the last few months. That's after some good special election results, an outright win in Wisconsin, and some better margins in the state of Florida. So what does it all mean and what really happened? CNN Chief Data Analyst Harry Enten is here. Let's start with a little bit of Wisconsin, right? An amuse-bouche on Wisconsin. This was a race. Elon Musk spent big in this race to sway the Supreme Court race there. And he also went to Wisconsin, which may, honestly, have backfired.
Yeah, I think it may have backfired. Look, I think if there's one thing we should be taking away from the results in Wisconsin and the polling that we have from Wisconsin and national, if you are a Republican candidate running in a swing state, you don't want Elon Musk anywhere near you. Yes, maybe you like the money, but you do not want his presence in your state. Why is that? Elon Musk, simply put, is an unpopular guy. He is political poison. Look in Wisconsin, his net favorable rating, minus 12 points, 12 points underwater. That is an even worse number when you look nationally. Look at that. It's minus 17 points. So if there's one big lesson to take away from Wisconsin is Elon Musk does not help Republicans when he shows up. If anything, the data suggests that he hurts them. Republicans, stay clear of Elon Musk if you want to win in a swing state, at least in terms of his physical appearance in your state.
All right, what did we see in terms of swings in Florida?
What do we see in the terms of swings in Florida? You know, we were talking about Florida 6, and you can see it here. The election margins in the U.S. House District, you know, Donald Trump won the 6 by 30 points. Last night, what did we see? We saw the Republican Randy Fine win by 14. That's a swing of 16 points. But that's not anywhere near the swing we saw in Florida 1. Look at that. Donald Trump won it by 37 points. The Republican won last night, but only by 15. That's a 22-point swing. We're talking about an average 19-point swing from the baseline back in 2024 in just a matter of 4 or 5 months. These are massive shifts. These are massive shifts to the left. Democrats really have to like this, even if the Republicans added to their majority in terms of what this potentially means down the road. You take this type of swing, you put it on some swing districts, that's very good news for Democrats.
Now, all of us who have this certain political sickness over the last 24 hours, we're talking about Kansas, Harry. Why are we focused on Kansas?
Kansas is on my mind, and it's not just because I want to go home Toto. Look at this. Kansas 4th District election margins. If you go back in time to 2017, what did we see? You know, you remember back in 2016, Donald Trump won the 4th District by 27 points. And then all of a sudden, this ruby red district, Ron Estes won in April of 2017, but just by 6. Ergo, a 21-point swing. Very similar to that average 19-point swing we saw in those deep red districts last night in Florida. And then you say, okay, this tells us something about the political environment going into 2018, where Republicans, of course, lost. And, of course, generally speaking, we look back, special elections and midterm results. If a party outperforms in a special election since 2005, 5 out of 5 times they won and win the U.S. House. Perhaps last night in Florida is a sign of things to come.
And again, it's an explanation of why Elise Stefanik is not going to be the ambassador to the United Nations. All right, Harry, and thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Joining us right now to talk more about this is Democratic Congressman from Wisconsin, Mark Pocan. Congressman, thank you for coming in. This was a big win last night, a win by 10 points for this state Supreme Court seat. What do you take as the biggest lesson or takeaway from last night?
Oh, thanks for having me. I mean, clearly, this not only was a 10-point win in a purple state, but the turnout was so high. It was people coming out to say what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing is not supported. People don't want their health care and long-term care cut. They don't want education cut. They don't want food assistance cut, all so that Elon Musk and Donald Trump can get a tax cut. This was a very strong, resounding vote, and the vote was absolutely against the Trump-Musk agenda.
Were people voting for Susan Crawford, or were they voting against the influence that Elon Musk was trying to put in this race?
Look, Susan Crawford is a very qualified judge, and she's going to be a great Supreme Court justice. But I think she'll even tell you most people probably couldn't identify her if they were in line with her at a grocery store. That's just kind of the way it happens. But it was clearly a vote against what's going on right now in Washington. The turnout, the intensity was all signs of that as well.
Let me ask you about Florida. the House Majority Leader, Steve Scalise, told reporters last night that picking up those 2 seats, holding those 2 seats, would be a quote-unquote big improvement for the party's current majority where it stands right now. Byron Donalds was just on speaking with Sarah, and he said everything is fine. Everything in Florida is just fine and going to get better from here. Does the results last night make your job harder?
No, in Florida, I mean, I hope no one falls down from being so dizzy from that kind of spin. I mean, look, when you have 10 to 20 point shifts in votes in Florida, there's a reason. When you have the Commerce Secretary, a billionaire, telling people if they don't get their Social Security check, like his mother-in-law, that they wouldn't call and complain if you did, you're a fraudster. 40% of people live just off their Social Security income, and clearly in Florida, that matters. The attacks that we see coming from the Trump administration and from Elon Musk right now are epic, and people don't like them. And Republicans who are complicit are going to pay a price. So whether it be Florida's elections or Wisconsin's elections or any other elections that we're looking at across the country, Pennsylvania earlier this month, this is all a signal that the Republicans had better take a quick look at their agenda, because if they continue to do this, which I hope they continue, because the American people are strongly against this and we will beat them back, they're in trouble.
I want to ask you quickly about tariffs, because the president's set to make this massive tariff announcement today. Yesterday, I spoke with Wisconsin Republican Congressman Brian Stile, who told me that when it comes to the tariffs, he's kind of in wait-and-see mode. That, of course, was yesterday on these tariffs. Are you also in wait-and-see mode?
No, Trump's tariffs are taxes on the average person. I mean, there's reasons to have tariffs. If someone's dumping cheap steel in this country, we should put tariffs on it to support the American workers and the industry. But that's not what's happening. This is across-the-board tariffs that somehow Donald Trump does out of either spite or who he's upset with or whatever rationale he's using. But at the end of the day, the people who pay it are the consumers. So, in November, the single greatest issue Donald Trump had was the economy. 50% of the people said they voted for the economy when he won. Now it's his single greatest detriment, because he's not doing what he promised. He's busy doing Project 2025 and conservative dogma rather than reducing the cost for the American people, while he's really bringing the stock market down as well with these dumb ideas. So people are not happy with what he's doing.
Let me ask you really quick. You say that what last night shows is that voters are voting against what they've seen from the Trump administration so far. My question, though, is, are they voting against? Are they voting? Is there anything that they're voting for when it comes to Democrats, that Democrats are providing? We know there is a big conversation, fight, whatever you want to call it, going on within the Democratic Party after big election losses of who's really leading, what direction should you lean? Should you lean more liberal? Should you lean more moderate going on? Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, calling the Democratic brand absolutely toxic and really problematic. Have Democrats shown yet that they are giving voters anything to vote for, or is it simply just against Donald Trump?
Well, we're going to make sure that Social Security doesn't get cut. We're going to protect Medicare and Medicaid. We're going to make sure that education is still funded, and we're not cutting things like food assistance or veterans hospital assistance. I mean, we're already having problems with people getting veterans hospital appointments because of the cuts by Donald Trump and Elon Musk. First of all, we're normal, right? We want to go back to normal, and I think that means something these days. But it is harder when you don't have a singular point person that's the spokesperson for the Democratic Party. I acknowledge that. But right now, people know who's fighting for them and who's not. And I think you're going to keep seeing this movement from people, understanding that the Republicans right now are a party that's really just about the wealthiest, the oligarchs, so to speak, in this country, about Elon Musk and Donald Trump and people who can belong to Mar-a-Lago. And at least Democrats are standing up for the middle class wherever we can.
Democrats need that point person, spokesperson, need it pretty quick. It's good to see you, Congressman. Thank you for coming in.